I want to get my gear up off the ground. One, because I don't want it to sit down on the wet ground and absorb that moisture, even though this is a waxed treated canvas. I'm not so worried about that, but I do want to get it up off the ground so I don't have to bend over all the time, to get down to that pack. So I'm going to carve me a quick toggle. Just kind of crowning the ends off here real quick on both sides. Then I'm going to make just kind of a V-notch that goes all the way around on the center. Score that line around. Come over about 1/4 of an inch. Score that line around. Then I'm just going to carve that out. So I've got a recess for my cordage to set in. And it kind of keeps it on the middle of the toggle where I want it. Go around one way, flip the toggle, go the other way and trim that off. There's my toggle. Alright, so to get my gear up off the ground, the first thing I'm going to tie is a Marlinspike hitch. And for the Marlinspike hitch, I'm just going to tie an end of the line bowline. If you don't know how to tie that, I'll direct you real quick to my 11 essential knots videos up here. I recommend you watch that so you can really get a step-by-step on how to actually tie the end of the line bowline plus a bunch of other knots. And since we brought that up, thanks for asking, there are a number of different knots that you could use for a number of different purposes. I simply choose a certain number of knots because there's hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of knots and a beginner doesn't know where to start. So I've kind of narrowed it down to what's actually useful for everything that I do. Granted, if you have your favorite knot, go ahead and use it. These are just the knots that I use. So, end of the line bowline, I'm going to create what's called a running bowline by coming around the tree. And I'm going to take this long standing end and come through the loop of that bowline. And I've just created a slip knot here with the loop of that bowline and the tail, and that is called a running bowline. And now with this piece of cordage that's hanging down, I'm going to create my Marlinspike hitch. So all I'm going to do is throw an overhand loop, if you can see that, into the line. Then from there, I'm going to flip this loop up onto the upper portion. All right, this loop gets flipped up. It always climbs up the rope. And I'm going to flip that over and pull a bite from this side through. All right, kind of show you what I've got going on there. Hopefully you can see. So now if you look at this knot, what I've got is a knot is starting to form down here at the bottom. That's what I call the dirty side. And then up here at the top, I've just got a slip where it goes over and the bite comes through. So that is the beginning of my Marlinspike hitch. Now it's also the beginning of a bowline. It's also the beginning of an overhand slip, which we use on our ridge line. So all of these work together so that you learn one knot, you're actually learning several. So the reason that I teach the bowline the way I teach it is because it leads right into this. I've got a clean side, a clean side and a dirty side. You want the dirty side down where the actual tension is going to be to actually catch it. You don't want the slip side on the other side because it'll just slip on down. The same thing with your ridge line. If you've never seen that video, I recommend you check the rapid ridge line video and the 3 quick tarp shelters video out, and you'll see what I'm talking about. If you end up with the slip side on the wrong side on your ridge line, it won't work. So very important, they all work together. Once I've got that established, take my toggle, place it through there instead of my finger, and I can tighten that down, and that will hold securely right inside that notch that I created. All right, let me give you a close-up view of that. For the Marlinspike hitch, I'm flipping an overhand loop in. Then that loop is going to be flipped up onto here, always climbing up the rope. And then I've created a window. I'm going to take this portion that's running through the center and pull a bite through. Get to where you can see that. Now I've got my dirty side at the bottom to where the actual tension is going to be locked. And I've got my clean side, or the slip side, up to the top. Take my toggle, place it in there, tighten that down, and that is my Marlinspike hitch and my gear toggle coming off of a running bowline around the tree. Alright, now I'll show you that at what we used to call in the military at combat speed. Flip it, pull a bite through, toggle it, pull it down, walk away. Alright, actually, hang your gear first. Hang your gear first, then walk away.